going on, guys? I had another one come to me. And this one's going to be a good bit more esoteric. I'm going to go into some demonology a little bit. If you've kept up with my story, you already know I was used as a ritual kid during various occult rituals, Masonic, all kind of different types. I've been in your Blue Lodge, been in your Scottish Rite Lodges, your Odd Fellows, all kind of different ones. There's a whole bunch of different names, but it all boils down to the same kind of philosophy and theosophical content. During the rituals that I was a part of many, they would send entities and spirits through me. I'm what you call a medium, a channel, a psychic. I spoke and wrote for many. And I'm going to describe a little bit about what kind of effect that has on a person. I don't remember any of the trance states. Part of being in trance is you black out. You're not supposed to remember this stuff. If any of these rituals are done correctly, the subject, the medium, the sensitive won't remember. Especially if they're just a sensitive. And if you're a child going through this stuff, indeed, you're a sensitive. I spoke for several. I might go into a dream I had that revealed these to me, but I spoke for Belial. He's a king demon. I spoke for Baphomet. A lot of people don't realize that that's an entity, but yes, that is an entity too as well. And I spoke for King Baal. He was the big one. That one made me busy. Okay? But I could have spoke for more, but those are the ones that have been revealed to me. Y'all, these demons have their own personalities. They're their own entities. They are their own creations. They were created by God. Okay? I mean, this is, we're going into some real ancient history right here, but they were created by God. Okay? They fell from heaven, and they dwell here on earth. They float around in the astral plane. And they serve the devil. They all have their own different personalities, though. They're not always so, willing to listen. Belial is a unruly. He's a demon king. He's an unruly one. Does not listen to authority. He has a high kind of voice. They all have their own voices too. Being a medium and being someone who's gone through mediumship and has had several entities, put in them, it changes your voice. Okay? I would say I don't want to call it a gift, but yeah, I guess we'd call it a gift. One symptom, one gift, a side effect is it changes your voice. You'll notice that you'll have many voices you can do. Be a good voice actor. Also helps with speech. See any kids who are just incredibly good at speaking really young? Because what happens is you put a child or you put someone through a state, they go into a trance-like state, and then the spirit, the entity communicates through them, through their vocal cords, right? You become a channel, a conduit. And the spirit talks. He tells people what to do. It has its own personality. And then the body is a funny thing. Once it has done something, it's kind of like working out. All right, my guys and gals who like working out, weightlifting, right? We reach our peak. We hit a peak, right? And let's say we quit working out for a while. Well, the cool thing, wonderful thing about the human body is that muscle memory, right? Let's say you quit working out, but you get back into it. Well, it won't take you too long, and your muscles will remember to get back to that peak that you had before. Albeit you might have to go through some more training, but you'll get there. It won't be as hard as the first time. Similar thing with the voice and the vocal cords. Okay? Yeah, Belial. Unruly one. I can remember being under the spirit of him. Baal. He's subtle. He doesn't come out much. He's picky. Which is why it was a big deal that he liked coming to me, and he consistently did. He's got a hoarse voice. And like I said, he doesn't come out much. He likes to be invisible, unseen. His personality is not like Belial. He's more regal, royal. He knows his level. And then there's other ones. Asmodeus, he's a war demon. Someone who suffers under an Asmodeus demon probably wants to fight all the time. Be violent. Rage. I don't know too much about Baphomet personally. Knowledge, gnosis. A trait, I guess, under his personality. But y'all, when you're someone who's had these demons go through you, or like a child, they affect your mind. You'll get a flood of negative emotions. And depending on what entity you were channeling was coming through you, it can vary what kind of emotions you'll go through. There's one demon in particular, I actually named a track after him, because he's related with the scapegoat. I'm talking about Azazel. The lore behind that is specifically when it comes to a scapegoat and Azazel, right? You'll have two goats. Two goats will be presented. One of the goats is slaughtered immediately, sacrificed immediately. And then the other one, the scapegoat, is they tie something around its horns and let it out into the wilderness to Azazel. And Azazel is basically, they call him a scapegoat, fallen angel, demon. He's a suicide demon. Azazel is a nasty demon. Very much. Ruthless. Because the whole point of the scapegoat being ventured out and pushed out into the wilderness is that it will die. And when the scapegoat dies, the sins and the things that the tribe did, that they put on that goat, die with it. That's the idea. So they send the scapegoat out to, Azazel, or they put the spirit of Azazel on that goat, basically to drive the goat into killing itself, jumping off of a cliff, or falling off of a cliff. And when you channel, because when you read these books, these occult books, it's not a good idea to go into full trance. There's danger and risk to the medium going into trance-like states. You get pieces of that entity with you, right? And it's not always power or gifts. Yeah, sometimes they give you certain things, but they always give you some kind of side effect. And a lot of times it's negative emotions, bad thoughts, things that would give you karmic debt. That's why when you see kids who've gone through this SRA, this satanic ritual abuse, they'll be bad. They'll be edgy because they've had demons put in them, especially if they're any of the ritual boys or the people. If they went through the same things I went through, yeah, they purposely put dark entities in them, and they have an effect on the mind. In fact, they use these entities to be the calls, the altar calls for the different personas that get put into the mind when undergoing through rituals such as these. Yeah. So, when you hear about this stuff, and there's, I know there's a part of society that finds the occult trendy, hip. You got your goths and the different kind of styles, and that, that's fine. That's just people like their style or whatever, but there really is a real actual occult. But the funny thing is, the real occult, they don't dress like the goth. they don't look like it. That's the funny thing. I go to some of these bookstores and I'll try to find some books, magic books, and because it's a trendy thing, you're seeing a lot more on the shelf now. And I'll flip through them. And they'll be kind of like your typical elementary spell book, spell stuff, and which isn't really a lot of that stuff. Really, like I said, I wouldn't do it. Spell work isn't really a lot of it's not even real. Not in the way that you think it is, and all you're really doing is you accrue some karmic debt when you do a spell. Yeah. Yeah, anytime that you use energy off of something else, you take some debt with you. You can't just you don't just take spiritual energy from anything. A living thing, that includes plants and animals, and so people will get fooled into doing these spells thinking there's no consequence to it. And they don't realize they're doing, they're either, one, they're probably doing a fake thing. Right? It's just, they think they're doing something, but they're not. Or they're tricked into doing some, black magic. And they're thinking there's not any kind of consequence to it. And don't get me wrong, I talk about white magic. And using the light. And that's, it's much different. Because all I'm really teaching and putting out there is the idea just of aligning yourself with God. Understanding that God made everything in this universe. He made every single thing. And so you want to align yourself and tap into that. If you want to really practice this magic, why do spells when you could just get tight with the creator of the spell, and then the creator of the essence that makes the spell work? Because when you become close with that, with God, you're pretty much untouchable. all those spells that those wicked people do will bounce right back to them. Anyway, got a little off topic again. I love it. But yeah, you know, when I talk about being a medium and speaking channel and all that, you know, there's some side effects to it, and you don't want to go into full trance. I mean, when I was being used, I was a kid, so I was unaware, right? I wasn't like, it wasn't a job. It was more like people would, you know, scoop me up in the middle of the night while I was in a sleep state, right? When I didn't really know where I was, kept me in that state of mind, did something to me while I was in that state of mind, right? And then I wake up the next day thinking that I just had a weird dream or having no memory at all. That would be the best result for them. You know. And this stuff goes on, y'all. They do this stuff. Doesn't have to be right when you're asleep. A lot of times they use alcohol. People want to know about that, right? Getting people in a messed up state of mind and then doing something to them while they're in that state of mind. And there's consequences to it. But to turn it all around and give a message of hope behind all that, guys, things are changing. Things are totally changing. God is playing his will out. A lot of people wanted to forget about that. Think that, you know, that God just let it all slip. No. No, his reckoning is at hand. It's coming. He gave those people enough time to change their act. He gave them some grace. But those folks didn't want to take the grace. And so the time of judgment is now coming. Because that's how God works. It'll be an interesting time to see all this go down. It'll be great. I'm looking so forward to it. I'm looking so forward to it. To see the justice actually play out. Ooh. Give me some popcorn, baby. But yeah. Alright, guys. Y'all have a good one.